welcome to the Saturday Morning Nerd Show. I'm Mark Splake, your host. Joined with me, as always, the Brewing Sailor, Mr. Brendan Smith.
Good morning, nerds.
And Mr. Chad Womack from the Electric Jellyfish Podcast.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Okay. All right, we're coming to you a little bit earlier this morning because we've got shit to do today. Chad and I will be at the Oak Cliff Film Festival, where he'll be broadcasting live with the Electric Jellyfish Podcast, talking to filmmakers and what's going on at that fest and stuff like that. So if you're in the Dallas area and you're looking for something to do, you should come get a day ticket and come hang out. The after parties are great. They've got a lot of great films there. So anyway, that's what's going on.
And I promised I'd take my wife to Community Day for Pokemon Go. And if you want to come see us, we're antisocial, so don't.
All right.
Wow, what a bait and switch on that one. Get away from us. We don't want people.
Come see us, but don't come see us.
Anyway.
Go see them, not me.
I didn't actually know there was a community day for Pokemon, so a little bit of an announcement there if you're in the McKinney area.
11 to 2 in whatever time zone you're in.
Okay, interesting.
Because apparently Community Day only means 3 hours.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Niantic. Appreciate you. And 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning, too. You guys have never had a drink. Damn teetotalers.
Well, I still have to tell this story of how we should never do press events at 10:30 in the morning after St. Patrick's Day. I had to take the team on that morning and get up. Brenda was like, "Fuck no, I'm not getting up. you go do it." And I did. I was late, but we did get that interview. All right. So a little bit of quick news that's going on, and then we're going to jump into talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, what we liked, what we didn't like, and the future of Star Wars as we see it, and hopefully why they should actually listen to us. All right. So this past couple of weeks since we've been off, big exciting game news. They finally gave us a release date for the new NCAA football game, and it will be July 9th, 2023. So we got about a year away, and we're probably going to get to play NCAA football.
Just curious, are they going to take the time to actually take the Madden logos off the stadiums?
You mean that isn't just branding for Madden, like getting you ready for that year's game? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Just a legit question. EA has made that a legit question with their excellent job they've done shepherding the Madden series.
Well, we hope that the reason they're taking the extra year to put the game out, and their excuse is we're still dealing with licensing on stadiums and uniforms and all that. I'm like, maybe you're taking the extra time to make sure everything is good with the logo.
Oh, yeah. Not only that, making sure that they can screw the players over and get as much as the NFT money for themselves.
Yeah, no shit.
So, but on the one hand, I mean, after nearly 10 years, it'll be great to finally have an NCAA football game, and I have no doubt that it will, at least here in the U.S., it will be the highest selling video game next year.
I hope they give us the create your own school option again, because I had a ball, man.
Oh yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the announcement next summer, around the old E3 time, where EA drops about 15 features for the game that are all from like 2002, and pretend like they're brand new. That's going to be great. We're looking forward to that. EA, thanks very much. It's our annual Madden ritual
too. Yeah.
Hey. Personally, I don't care. I just want to play NCAA football again on one of those.
I do too, but you just have to understand, I'm always going to take the opportunity to take shots at Eternally Awful because they've earned it.
Yeah, I agree. So
I mean, what was this year? The announcement where they were talking about hit sticks and pinpoint passing, and there was one other feature. It was like, These have all been in the game previously. These aren't new features. How can you sit there with a straight face with players that have been playing this game for 2 decades and tell us, look at this new feature? Do you really think we're that stupid?
Pardon us while we pat ourselves on the back for our ingenuity from 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Right.
they just called it something different.
Hey, I don't try to masquerade that you're giving us something new, and that's the reason you're charging us too much money instead of actually giving us the same game you did before, but just charging us for a new season, like we talked about. I mean, however, it is a rumor, but it wouldn't actually surprise me if it turned out to be kind of true. Madden 23 ending up day one on Game Pass. And I think that would be a real feather in the cap with Microsoft, in the Ultimate Game Pass. Also, I don't want to have to pay for multiple copies. So let's do this.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't have to pay for it at all.
Well, while it's still weird playing MLB The Show on Xbox, it's been fantastic. Everything works. It's gorgeous on the Series X. I'm halfway through my season, although I do have a couple of complaints on that game. I don't think they're just not going to let me break Joe DiMaggio's hit streak record. So I was almost done doing it with my creative player and literally outran a ball to first base for the hit. And they actually and because the guy, the shortstop, bobbled the ball just a little bit, they gave it, a base error, and didn't give me the hit. I'm like, really? That's how you end my streak? Fuck you.
You know what? It could be worse, Marcus. It could, because right now you could be a Cal or an LA Angels fan. Look, how badly is that team mismanaged? You have the modern day Babe Ruth and Shohei Ohtani and the modern day Willie Mays and Mike Trout, but you have nothing else. So you're 4 games under 500 and 10.5 out of first place, and we're not even at the All-Star break.
Well, when you spend all your money on a couple of players and you don't want to spend money on
the thing. It's their team from LA. Okay, they've got money. And there's no salary cap in baseball.
Bro,
no excuse.
I did find it interesting that Joe Madden did get fired after a 14-game losing streak. And it's like, it's the beginning part of the season. I sort of get if it's, in July at the All-Star break and you need to shake things up, but geez.
Well, when they fire a manager like Joe Madden because the team is bad, it's to cover the fact that the general manager didn't do a good job in building the team.
Yeah, that's when the general manager needs to go back and watch Brad Pitt Moneyball on how to do things. So anyway, all right. Real quick, the last big summer blockbuster movie was Jurassic Park. And it was exciting. I will say this. It was a great little bookend to the Jurassic Park franchise. But it can't be as good as the original. I don't know. I found it okay. I think I gave it like a 6 or something when I did the review.
Which, honestly though, even as an okay movie, it really does fit the trend of Jurassic Park movies. They got progressively worse. And let's face it, after the first one, they were all basically the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
another stupid guy who's a billionaire thinks he can make more money, so he makes the same stupid mistakes that all the other bad guys before him made, and then T-Rex fights a big dinosaur.
Right. And just because we had one disaster with a dinosaur theme park doesn't mean it'll happen again.
No, it couldn't possibly.
And by the way, the greatest line in all of Jurassic Park happened in the Lost World. In the Lost World Jurassic Park, when the T-Rex is rampaging through San Diego, there's a Japanese guy who runs across the screen and he says something in Japanese real fast. When it's translated, it says, "I left Japan to get away from this shit."
Yeah, you basically made this Jurassic Park 2 a King Kong movie with a dinosaur. It's like, yay!
Isn't that right before they showed the screenwriter of that film getting eaten outside of a Blockbuster?
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, and unfortunately, I did go back and watch it, threw it up in the background, and I'm like, if you're kind of glancing over, you might confuse it for the 1976 King Kong movie with Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange.
One of my favorite guilty pleasures.
Like, I was like, did you guys just steal part of that story and till the very end? And I was like, quit trying to. I mean, how many times are we going to tell the King Kong story? I don't think we need any more King Kong movies. Peter Jackson, you've done the last one, and it was actually I enjoyed it, but I'm like, we don't. Anyway, it's let's try to come up with something original, and when I say try, at least make an effort.
Well, that's why I dug Skull Island, because it didn't feel like the same tried and true formula, kind of.
That's true. So anyway, but yeah, if you still haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. Real quick too, I do want to mention that the Elvis movie is out in theaters. You can save yourself a movie ticket unless you're just a huge Baz Luhrmann fan and basically, go crazy for everything he does.
I'm going tomorrow.
Do what?
I'm going tomorrow.
Well, the soundtrack is good.
Well, we knew that much before it even got released.
No, I said this in the review. I gave it a 5. Tom Hanks was great as Colonel Tom Parker, but you knew Tom Hanks was going to be great. And I got to give it to Austin Butler. He really did, learn all the moves and look like Elvis. But I felt like the movie was looking through a kaleidoscope on an acid trip.
So a Baz Luhrmann film. Okay, gotcha.
I was looking at the trailer and all I could think to myself, it's the dork from Shania Chronicles. Shania, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking forward to seeing this guy play Fade in the next Dune film. That's what I'm kind of pumped about.
Right. So
I can see that. I can totally see that.
Well, I'm just saying that for the very small group of people that really love Baz Luhrmann films, who kind of rewrite and reimagines things, then you'll probably like it. But I think it's a huge disservice to Elvis and his overall story. And I still maintain that the best miniseries was when Kurt Russell was Elvis.
The John Carpenter version.
Yeah. So, and if you want to go back and watch that, you should do a double feature, get done with that, and just go ahead and watch 3,000 Miles to Graceland. It's a stupid movie, but it's a fun, stupid movie. So, all right. This week's Sign of the Apocalypse. It has to do with Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic, and the Nintendo Switch. So, Brendan, I'll let you take it away on this one.
Well, so Knights of the Old Republic 2 just got ported over to the Switch. And here's the thing. In 2004, I believe it was, Chad, when Knights of the Old Republic 2 dropped, it dropped with only a year in development because, LucasArts was dealing with severe cash flow problems and they wanted the money because Knights of the Old Republic was popular from the first installment from BioWare. So they forced Obsidian to push it out about 6 months to a year before it was ready. So if you've ever played Knights of the Old Republic 2 and wondered why the planet Nar Shaddaa is 5 hours longer than the rest of any of the other planets in the game, it's because it was the only one that was finished. That's true. It was. There are quest lines that go nowhere, like the Navic computer quest and the HK 47 quest. There are bugs everywhere. It is actually, storyline wise, it's actually a great game. It's even gameplay wise, it's even a really nice advancement from the first one because you don't have to go into, excuse me, I've gotten frog in my throat here. You don't even have to go into the character loadout screen to change your weapons. You can have 2 different setups of weapons so you can change on the fly. So in a lot of ways, it is a superior game to Knights of the Old Republic, but because it was rushed, the QC, it wasn't finished, and the QC on it was terrible. Well, they just ported it to the Switch, which is great because it's a great little game to the Switch, and it's gonna, it would work beautifully on the Switch, and you can play it on the go, and you can play it at home, and it's fantastic. Except they didn't get rid of any of the bugs. Guys, you've had 18 years. Hell, on the PC version, modders already got rid of the bugs and finished the game content for you.
So hire these guys.
Just
They're better
use what
workers
they
than
did
what,
and put that in.
who was it? Aspire? Was that the studio? Aspire, ASPYR?
Aspire, and it actually is now really worrying me because they have done some excellent ports. Okay,
Right,
the
yeah.
Knights of the Republic port, the Knights of the Republic 1 port they did was great. The Star Wars Republic Commando port, well, that was actually a remaster, and that was beautiful.
That was badass. Yeah, I've got that one myself.
But I'm really hoping the reason why this one was such shit is because they put like 2 guys on it, and the rest of the studio is working on the Knights of the Old Republic remake, because that is a AAA version of the floor to ground total rebuild of Knights of the Old Republic for next gen. Oh, I guess, can we stop calling it next gen? Can we just say current gen?
Current gen, yeah.
For current gen, PS5, Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Consoles, and it probably will come out next year, I would imagine.
I think scheduled to be out next year.
I think it's gonna be. I think Jedi Fallen or Jedi Survivor and that are gonna bookend the year. I think Jedi Survivor is gonna come out very early in the year, and I think KOTOR remake's gonna come out very late in the year.
No, I think they're scheduling all of that. I think Jedi Survivor is not even due. Well, no, it is due next year.
No, it is, and it's going to be early next year because there was actually rumor that it might come this year, but it's not going to. So
you know what, and that would actually be a great release if you could get that about April or May. You have time to get to the story before you get to the fall games. So,
yeah, it'll be Q1, Q2. Next year is going to be stupid for gaming. Next year, I mean, you're going to have Starfield, you're going to have Redfall, you're going to have at least 2 Star Wars games, possibly more. Because there's 10 Star Wars games in development right now.
Yeah.
Thank God they went away from EA.
4 of them might actually get released.
Yeah,
right.
Well, actually 6, at least 7 of them will get released because the only 3 at EA are all at Respawn. So, and one of them's Jedi Survivor.
Well, we were gaming editor Case Cutler, him and I were talking about this. It's like it's going to be another year of we don't really know what's going to end up being game of the year. It'll probably end up being a sequel like God of War or Horizon Forbidden West.
I'm really hoping it's Avowed. I really hope Avowed is able to come out by the end of next year for Obsidian, because let's face it, Obsidian. And even though they got rushed back in 2004 to do Knights of the Republic 2, what Obsidian does, they are kind of, you remember the old BASF commercials from the 80s? We don't make your products, we make them better. That's Obsidian. Obsidian did a better Knights of the Old Republic game than BioWare. Obsidian did a better Fallout game than Bethesda, Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Obsidian does what you do, they just do it better.
Right.
And so I'm really looking forward to Avowed, because Avowed is going to be Obsidian's Skyrim. Yeah. And I want to see what they do with it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that's my big hope for next year.
Right. And the great news is, we're talking about games that'll end up day 1 on Game Pass. So.
Yes, it will. It is already confirmed that it's day 1 Game Pass.
Well, here's another thing that just kind of got thrown out in as an announcement. The remake of Resident Evil 4 will come out next March. So keeping up with that, and that's generally considered the best of the Resident Evil games next to. So, and it looks amazing. It was such a light year last year that we were it was really kind of hard to figure out, but everybody went back and played Village, and we just generally agreed it's like this really is the best game. Even if you aren't happy about the story of what they're continuing with from 7, but picking right back up, and it was a gorgeous game. Wasn't long, but these remakes that they're doing with Resident Evil have turned out to be phenomenal. I know Resident Evil 3 is not a great game, but the remake was cool. But the Resident Evil 2 remake game, oh my God, I've gone through that like 3 times at this point, and it's absolutely amazing. So we do have that. And next year will be a lot about gaming.
Oh, and before we move on from this week's sign, from this week's sign of the no shit Sherlock, you mean Vince McMahon had an affair?
Jesus. This horse needs to die.
Well, I'm sorry. Is there anything less surprising in entertainment news than Vince McMahon had to pay hush money to cover up an affair?
Vince McMahon's a dirty bastard. Wow, what a
I'm like, personally, I'm waiting for the 2-on-1 handicap grudge match where Stephanie and Triple H are going to fight Vince, and right when they're about to, with Linda McMahon managing, and then right as Vince is about to lose, Shane O'Mac's going to come out of the crowd and hit Triple H over the head with a chair, and Vince and Shane are going to run SmackDown, and Triple H and Linda are going to run Raw, and or Triple H and Steph are going to run Raw, and they're going to have a big SmackDown versus Raw war.
Wait. You actually think that Linda would be managing Vince in this match?
No. Linda would be managing Triple H and Stephanie.
I'm about to say, wait a minute.
No. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward, because this is like the obvious like progression of this story, right? It has to be.
Because Vince still thinks he's the genetic jackhammer or whatever the hell he called himself.
Look, I mean, I'm all about them trying to create storylines for wrestling, but Jesus. Nobody gives a shit about you.
Art imitating life.
Oh my God.
Imitating art.
And remember, Freddie Prinze Jr. was a writer for the WWE for a while. Keep that in mind.
Was he really?
Yes, he was.
When was this? I'm curious.
Oh shit, I'd have to look it up, but he was a writer for the WWE.
I am curious. You guys continue to talk. I'm looking this up.
You'd probably be amazed. You'd probably be amazed at some of the people that have written for the WWE.
Actually, I wouldn't.
That completely came from out of left field.
Well, here's my thing about him. You know, when you move beyond teen heartthrob and you're looking for gigs and you haven't gotten your really great voice acting gig with your wife, you know, for Star Wars, you know, you take jobs.
And you know what? It was kind of in that time frame. It was 2008 and 2009.
Right around the time he was doing. No, that was before that.
Look, Dustin Hoffman said it best in Tootsie. As a working actor, always be working. You got to always be working. So, you know, that's cool. Bruce
Willis took that a little too far.
I'll show up for my 10 minutes and you can use my name and give me $1 million.
Patrice O'Neal was another one. Patrice O'Neal, that was the other one.
Yeah. When you release so many bad movies in one year, the Razzies give you your own category.
Hey,
that's truly impressive.
You know what? We understood about Nicolas Cage taking every movie offer he had to take to get himself out of debt. And he turned out some pretty good, you know, weird little films like Mandy and stuff. And, you know, he worked his way out of it.
I'll say this for Nicolas Cage. Good movie, bad movie, doesn't matter. It's always going to be entertaining.
Yeah, that's it. Bruce Willis, I mean, way past your prime, you're not an action star. And we pretty much knew that when you did the 5th Die Hard movie, where somehow you can go rescue your special forces son from Russia. Anyway, that was
I honestly didn't even watch that one. I was just
you were going to come to the press screen. You're like, no, I've got stuff to do. I'm like, yes, I'll take one for the team again on this one.
I literally have anything better to do that day.
Right.
Even if I don't, I do.
Keeps throwing out ridiculous, terrible movies, and they give him $1 million or whatever just to put his name on it. And I'm like, I can't even keep up with your straight to Redbox DVD movies here. It's like, Jesus. But anyway, all right, moving right along. Our entire topic today is talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It wrapped up this week, the 6th part, and big question. Did it live up to expectations? Did you like it? What was wrong with it? We have been debating this over the past few weeks. We all have difference of opinions. But before we get started, I think there is one general opinion that we can all share, and that this should be the end of the Skywalker saga, and it is really time to move on and go to other periods of Star Wars, like the Knights of the Old Republic. Am I wrong in saying that?
Nope, you're 100% correct. However, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
And welcome to today's episode of Wishful Thinking.
Yeah.
Madness.
I mean, they're already talking about doing Kenobi season 2, and we're like, you really didn't even need to do one.
Look,
Like, here's my thing. Okay,
go
this
ahead.
is what from now on. Before I get excited about any Disney Plus show, be it Marvel, Disney, or Marvel, Star Wars, or whatever, I'm checking the writing team.
No shit.
I want to know, how is it that two of the most important characters in all of Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, get some dude named Joby, who has only worked on his own movie, which, hey, kudos to you. You had a story and you got it made. Good job.
Lords are our
But-
speciality.
And then Army of the Dead, which was decidedly meh. And let's be honest, Army of the Dead was not popular for its writing. It was popular because it was gun porn and zombie porn. We get that. And then King Arthur, Legend of the Sword,
Oh.
which is probably the worst King Arthur movie ever made.
I don't know. Excalibur. I mean, if you really go back and
Whoa,
watch,
whoa, whoa, dude. No. You did not just freaking say that.
yes, I did just say that. The dialogue is, oh my God, there's so much overacting in that movie. It's like, come on. Now, granted, I love Helen Mirren as Morgana. Okay. But anyway,
But my point being is, how do Vader and Kenobi get that guy? Meanwhile, a second tier character like Andor is getting Tony Gilroy, who did Rogue One and the Bourne movies, Dan Gilroy, who wrote Nightcrawler, and then I forget that there's Beau Willimon, I think is his name, who worked on House of Cards, and then Steven, and I can't remember his last name. He gave him some of that S. I apologize, sir, because you wrote a really good series called The Americans.
well, you can complain about the writing team. I'm going to be the odd duck out on this podcast. I didn't hate Obi-Wan, and I'm not unhappy. I didn't think they were perfect. I have my complaints, and we'll get into that. But overall, I thought the series was good. I enjoyed it. However, no, let's not do a season 2. We're done with this story.
Yeah, here's my problem with the show, just from a high level. The outline is there for it to be a good show, and that's what I found so completely maddeningly frustrating. It's just like at every major plot turn, they took the wrong left turn at Albuquerque. Like it's like if I was reading a choose your own adventure book, and if I chose one way, it would have been an amazing story, and if I chose another way, I wanted to slam my face in the book, and I chose that way every single time.
Well, I'm
And
glad that you feel that way. I personally don't. I thought there was a lot of brilliant choices that they made. Not all of them, but again, I don't have very many complaints about the show. Enjoyed it.
I got so frustrated. Like for example, at the very beginning, you know, they tried to set up Reva to be a badass, but they also want to show that she's conflicted with the other Inquisitors. So they just keep telling you that. They keep telling you that they view her as trash and she's got a chip on her shoulder against them. But there's a problem with that in a TV show or a movie. Show, don't tell. Okay? let the story show you those things. You keep telling me she's badass. Okay, why? Like, if they had, when they find Nari, the Jedi, right, on Tatooine, if they had let that spill out into the street and become a fight, and Nari injures the fifth brother, but Reva kills him in an awesome fight. Well, now we know Reva's a badass. Okay. And it deepens the animosity between her and fifth brother. And that animosity becomes more palpable, more real, more tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we'll jump on the subject of Reva, because I do think that is one of the worst parts of this series. And nothing against Moses Ingram.
No, nothing against Moses Ingram at all. The problem here, I'm not talking about Moses Ingram, the actress. I'm talking about how the character was written.
All I'm saying, I thought she did a great job with what she had, and stuff like that. But she is kind of a minor character compared to what this story really is about. This story is about Obi-Wan having to overcome his past and coming face to face with Vader again, and to reconcile that past and move forward. Okay. I agree that you could have written her better. The whole, I'm infiltrating the Inquisitors because I'm going to get revenge on Vader. I know it's Anakin and blah, 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 only to in the end, I'm going to hunt down a little boy in the desert. And then I'm going to have a revelation. Oh my God, I've turned into him. And Chad and I were talking about this before we started. Yeah, I do think it's lazy writing. And you've taken this minor character that could have been important. Okay. And I don't disagree that a fight in the very beginning wouldn't have been awesome. But you've boiled her down to a former Jedi who just simply wants revenge and isn't following the Jedi way, only to suddenly come to a realization, oh my God, I have become the guy I'm hunting.
And they could have kept that ending, but the beginning and the backstory shouldn't have been, I want revenge. It should have been, for whatever reason, she didn't die. So Vader was amused by it and took her into the Inquisitors, and she now has Stockholm syndrome. And so now she's attacked, but then slowly, as the show unfolds, she starts to see Vader for what he is and what she has become. Like, one of those moments could have easily been when he just snaps the neck of the kid on Mapuzo.
Yeah.
I do think that's an interesting storyline, but I don't think you can actually quite tell that over 6 episodes. I think you need a longer story to develop that. And that's hey, you're preaching to the choir there, because I thought this show should have been 8-hour-long episodes and not 6 40-minute ones. Oh, no. I don't. And again, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I like it for what it is. This has kind of been my argument throughout watching it is, if you're going to do this, you might as well have just done a 2 or 3 hour movie, okay, and cram everything in and get rid of some of the slower parts. That way, it's it's a huge kind of epic action film, but also not so rushed like The Rise of Skywalker, where nothing's really happening and you're trying to wrap up storylines or trying to fix something from the previous movie. So if you want to develop your characters over time and have these really great moments of them dealing with their pain and, or like you said, her having Stockholm syndrome, yeah, you need those extra couple of episodes. So that's either you can make it shorter and fit what you have now into something that it flows beautifully, or you have to extend this to develop your characters a little bit more. So, but
also,
anyway.
I really think Joby Harold owes a writing credit to Aaron Contreras. Do you know who Aaron Contreras is? He was the narrative lead on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah.
The third sister is essentially the second sister, except not as well written. And so in 14 BBY, Cal Kestis infiltrates the Fortress Inquisitorius by swimming up from underneath it. 5 years later, they haven't fixed that.
Hey, just because, you know,
They just said, fuck it. There's no way another Jedi will try this.
Hey, every Imperial fortress has its exhaust port. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, apparently.
If the Empire was so smart and fixed their first mistakes, we wouldn't have great plot points of, let's have an episode, a really great Prison Break episode with Obi-Wan, which I did enjoy. I really did. But you're also like, gosh, you're idiots. Death Star 2. If we just fly inside and find that one point, we can destroy it again.
God almighty.
You're like, how is it the Empire has the stupidest engineers in the world? They can't figure out.
Well, you got an army of stormtroopers that can't hit shit too. So, you know.
Well, they can hit everything, just nothing with plot armor. Which brings me to the
Chad, you were comparing Reva to Kylo Ren. Why?
Just a snotty ass emo kid, like Brendan keeps saying, chip on their shoulder. I'm
tantrum throwing.
Yeah, I'm pissed off at everything, and I don't care. You know, kind of like that peacemaker mentality. I will get what I want. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it. It's like you cannot make somebody like that redeem.
And even Peacemaker had more character growth.
Oh yeah, no shit. If you just call this the fucking Reva show, because that's what it turned into to me. I was like, I'm so sick of like Brendan was saying, you know, just when he was talking about Vader snapping the neck of that kid, just put a reaction shot of Reva like, oh shit, you know, that was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
Anything, you know, just anything that would show her kind of going down that path of, boy, I'm maybe trying to do the right thing, but I'm doing it the wrong way mentality. But it never was. It was obvious that that's where they were going with it. I mean, Brendan, you called that out from the get-go before the show even started.
Because look, I here's the thing. Star Wars has always been about redemption stories. So the moment they introduced a new character and started propping her up, I'm like, okay, this is a redemption story.
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't like. I think that's the problem with a lot of things with when Dave and John are not involved in a Star Wars project these days. Is people at Lucasfilm, they know the broad strokes of what Star Wars is supposed to be. They're just not very good at executing them.
Yeah. They like John and Dave did a better job of redeeming IG-11 in the first season of The Mandalorian than these jerks did with friggin' Reva in this.
Which bodes well for Taika Waititi's project.
I don't care.
I will say two things, and then I'm moving on from Reva and all that. Actually, I'll say three things. One, getting back to the point, you can't do enough in these 6 episodes while also telling Obi-Wan's story. You needed it to be longer. Okay. Mm-hmm. 2, something else I was telling Chad, what really pissed me off about her more than anything else is you're just hunting down Luke and you're not even fully understanding why. So you're going to go kill a child in the desert. And I'm like,
Vader ain't going to give a shit because he doesn't even know.
Right. If you want to make it a true redemption story, how about having one of the other Inquisitors who hate her, you know, figure out what she's doing or figure out the message or whatever, and they show up, and then her full redemption is not realizing the error of her ways with a passed out Luke, but ends up saving him from the Inquisitors that she hates and they hate her. And then you get kind of another little great lightsaber duel in there at the same time. And I think that would have been a better redemption story crammed into the 6-part episode.
Well, also, just stop trying to put Obi-Wan, Luke, and Leia in danger because we know they're going to be fine.
Well, like I don't have a problem with 10-year-old Leia and what the overall story is. I think I thought it was a great idea to have his connection to Leia. Okay. And I think it also kind of helps solidify some dialogue that I always found kind of strange in the way he would say things in episode 4. Now, granted, I think the dialogue was just written the way it was because Lucas didn't have a full plan and didn't know if he was going to get to make more movies. But I think the writers were kind of paying attention. Like, for example, when you really look at the message when Obi-Wan's playing it and she's like, General Kenobi, you served my father in the Clone Wars and now he asked for your help and yada, yada, yada. This is our most desperate hour. Okay. She's using all these words of our, we, and talking about it as a collective. And then when she gets to the very last line, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. And I always thought that was kind of strange because now you're making it more personal. Why? And if it's all about our or a collective, then why wouldn't you just say that line? Help us, Obi-Wan, you're our only hope. As if she had no connection to him and just heard stories. So I think it kind of bolsters a little bit what her connection to him is. I may be reading too much into it, but that's as a writer, I try to work on dialogue that does mean something. So I thought that was kind of cool. Also, the line, when Vader and Obi-Wan face off with one another, you should not have come back. Come back from what? It does. It's kind of ominous. I don't know. I don't know the backstory.
I think I have no problem with Leia being kidnapped. I really don't. I have a problem with why she was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Too many contrivances in this story. Like, here's a better reason why she's kidnapped. And this is how I would have written it. First off, I would have had Nari not been caught on Tatooine because how the fuck does he know where Obi-Wan is? 3 people in the galaxy know where Obi-Wan is. Or 4, other than Obi-Wan. Yoda, Bail Organa, and Owen and Beru Lars, who have never left Tatooine. So how does this Jedi even find him? So contrivance number 1. So let's move him off. Let's move that whole scene off Tatooine. And let's have them find Nari on another planet, and let's have that thing run out in the same way we have, instead of letting Nari run off in the desert which, by the way, like, I get Obi-Wan's despair, but do we really think Obi-Wan's going to have a complete lack of empathy for a fellow Jedi? That scene for me was very hard to swallow.
Yeah, I think you're nitpicking on that. I think that's just him trying to maintain what his overall purpose is, and also dealing with his PTSD.
And I just think Obi-Wan would have some empathy and try and help him get off planet as soon as possible, just not let him, because that would facilitate his mission with Luke and also would help him avoid being cut down by Inquisitors. So let's move him off that. Let's have that somewhere else. And instead of looking for Obi-Wan, he's looking for the path, because now that's foreshadowing for later, right? Okay. So then why is Leia kidnapped? Well, at this time, the Emperor doesn't have complete control of the Senate. Okay. So maybe the Emperor is trying to pass a bill that seems innocuous, but Bail Organa and Mon Mothma see through it. Okay. They know it's really a power play. So they move to block it in the Senate. He can't go at Bail Organa directly. So through a senator that would benefit financially from that bill, he uses that senator as a proxy to hire Cad Bane to kidnap Leia and blackmail Bail Organa. Now we get Cad Bane in the show. We get the Emperor in the show. We get a little Coruscant in the show. We get a little politics, which is also going to tie into Andor later. Okay. See all these threads pulling together. And that's a much better reason to kidnap Leia. Now, Obi-Wan has to go fight Cad Bane. And it's not like they haven't had a couple of cool interactions before. Yes, they have.
Yes, they
Okay,
have.
so now we go get Obi-Wan fighting Cad Bane, let's say on Nar Shaddaa, because that second planet, Daiyu, that was basically just Nar Shaddaa by another name. Anyway, it was just less cool because it wasn't Nar Shaddaa. So now they go to Nar Shaddaa and they fight, and they have a very public fight. Well, people on Nar Shaddaa would turn in Obi-Wan Kenobi for a hot meal and a cold beer. So somebody calls the ISB on him after they fight Leia. Now the Inquisitors are rushing to Nar Shaddaa to find Leia and find Obi-Wan. and the Emperor uses the HoloNet because he controls the media to say this treasonous traitor of a Jedi has kidnapped a beautiful little princess of Alderaan, and we need the public's help to find him. Now the whole galaxy's looking for him, and he needs the path.
Yeah, you would need more episodes.
I know we need more. We already established that, though.
And I don't think. Yeah, the only way. I'm sorry, I just disagree with that. I don't think there's any reason to bring Cad Bane into it at all. I get that it, her trying to
So Flea was better, and a Benny Hill scene of Leia running away from 3 adults.
I have no problem with that scene. She doesn't trust this guy. It also brings out him having to actually use the Force, which he clearly hasn't used in a while. Okay. Her nefarious plot to bring out Kenobi, using the kidnapping of a child or whatever, or finding out the connection between Bail Organa and Obi-Wan and, trying to drag him out and curry favor with Vader. Again, no problem with any of that. I think for her, it just leads more to what her story is. And she is trying, it's a long con for her. She is trying to get in a position to where she can kill Vader. Okay. And granted, again, I've said it, how it ends with her little revenge plot is stupid. And I think it could have been written better, but I think you're throwing so much in there. I just disagree. I think it's interesting, but again, compared to what they're doing, I had no problem with it. That's my only point. But at the same time, I will say this, I think it is a little bit better writing than what we have seen with Star Wars, and I'll give you that. But I think a story like that has to be done over like 10 episodes, which I would have been okay with.
And the other thing is just see, I do have a problem with her finding that stuff out about Kenobi and Organa, though, because you're telling me none of the other Inquisitors or the Grand Inquisitor or Vader thought to exploit that. So, and how would she even know? Because it's already established canon in Disney that they destroyed most of the records of the Jedi because they were trying to eliminate the Jedi.
They destroyed most of the records.
Yeah. So, but my point is, how would she have access to any of it, especially if they don't even trust her on the inside because they've already established that she's gutter trash? So this is why the writing sucks.
Again, disagree. I mean, she is. First of all, you're also trying to. Well, we need to move on, but at the same time, being a I think she would know where to find that. I think you're trying to explain something that doesn't need to be fully explained compared to a lot of. I just, again, I don't have a problem with it for what this story is. All of it was about. This entire story is a call to action for Obi-Wan, whether she's trying to get him out of hiding to where he's going to end up facing Vader, reconcile his past, and it also allows him to become the Jedi, to get past all of this, to become the Jedi that we're going to see.
I get that's what they were trying to do. I'm just saying they did a terrible job of it.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't personally.
And then like just the contrivances needed to just move the plot along in this show, like Bail Organa's message. I know I'm not supposed to contact you, but I'm going to actually lay out everything somebody would need to kill Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I groaned.
Holy OPSEC
I
Batman!
Groaned out loud. I'm like, that was so stupid.
Like as soon as Kenobi sitting there watching that, I'm like, gee, I wonder if this is going to fall into Reba's hands.
Yeah, no shit. That's I had the exact same reaction. I remember just looking over at my wife, going, "Really? Like freaking really?" God.
Again, I'm not nitpicking that writing at all. I think it works for what this is. I mean, obviously, I would have written it a little bit better if I was in control of it, and I would have done more episodes. But to have an Obi-Wan story that I look at it as it's a 6-part prologue to episode 3 or a 6-part prologue to the beginning of the rebellion that will lead into episode 4. You are seeing all of these things the connection to the past versus what is going to end up becoming the rebellion. Because right now it's a resistance, you know. And I loved all the side characters, like O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character. I want to know more about him. I hope he pops up again at some point in something. I really hope he pops up in Andor. You know,
I like that completely diametrically opposed flip flop he does in 10 seconds with Obi-Wan.
Again, I think it's all just minor nitpicking. To me, again, I look at the story as, again, that call to action for Obi-Wan. Okay, he had to deal with the past and everything. And the way that it ended with their final fight, that lightsaber duel was incredible. Him having, I mean, that the half mask, seeing Anakin, the mixture of the Hayden's voice with James Earl Jones, you know, Vader basically saying, "You're off the hook. You didn't kill me or kill Anakin. I killed him. I am not your failure." You know, not only does it add more dimension to what he has truly become, but at the same time, it also solidifies Obi-Wan's point of view of why the good man Anakin Skywalker was betrayed and murdered by Vader, as he explains in episode 4.
And, you know, I didn't interpret it that way. I kind of took an opposite view of it. I don't think that, I think that was just Anakin being a dick again, saying, you don't get to take credit for making me what I am. I'm taking credit for making me what I am. You didn't do this to me. I did this to myself.
I think that's just him being fully embraced with the dark side and saying, no, I killed this part that I consider bad.
Yeah. And yeah. I don't think he was trying to absolve Obi-Wan of anything. He's like, dude, fuck you. I am what I am, and you had nothing to do with it.
Well, and maybe not. But again, I think it also, again, solidifies where Obi-Wan gets his point of view and how he explains it to Luke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to where Luke has to, figure out his own point of view.
Yeah.
Also,
I know it was clearly the callback to he betrayed and murdered your father. Yeah, that's right. Clearly what that was a callback.
So I think that they are. I will at least commend the writing team that I think they're paying attention to little details like that. And connective tissue.
And yeah, I mean, again, like they copied Jedi Fallen Order. At the end of that fight, they're just copying Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2, right down to the mixed voice between Matt Lanter and James Earl Jones. When Ahsoka cuts part of his mask off and you see Anakin, that's literally straight out of Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, to me, everything about Joby Harold's writing is lazy and deserves credit to other people. Like, all the best parts we're talking about is stuff that literally has been done by somebody else and in recent history.
Look, I'm not going to sit there and prop him up as a great writer. I don't disagree that he is kind of a lazy writer and obviously not as good as some. Okay. But this, at the end of the day, is Obi-Wan's story of dealing with the past, how he found out that Anakin survived and, is the maniacal monster that is Vader. I thought was brilliant. To me, it works on a lot of levels. I gave this series an 8 because of those things. The reason I won't go any higher than that is because they did ruin Reva's story, and that could have been done better. Okay. And as slow as some of these episodes are, it leads into great action. I love the Prison Break episode. Whether you want to complain about the Empire not being able to fix that one little plot hole, I'm like, I don't really care. They didn't fix the plot hole in the second Death Star, so who the fuck cares? Okay, it was a great episode, and Anara Vistar, I always mispronounce her name. I loved her character too. I wish she didn't have to die, but she was great. So
Tala, you mean?
Yeah. The mirror images of Obi-Wan in the bathtub tank after, he gets tortured a little bit by Vader, and then you see Anakin. And so I think there's a lot of things to like about this story, but I think it needs to be the story. If they try to cram in a season 2, I'm done.
Yeah. I think one thing I really wish they would have done, because you mentioned the scene where Vader tortures Obi-Wan. I really wish they would have included some reason why Vader let him go. and just explain that to us, because at the end of episode 3, he pulls him through the fire and then he just dismisses the fire with the Force. And then Tala shoots at stuff again, so it's the fire spouts back up, and Vader does nothing.
Yeah.
And he could have dismissed it with the Force, which they just shown us he could do. I mean, what is this, as an MMO, and his Force ability still on a cooldown timer? I'm, or is it is it a pen and paper RPG game and it's a daily ability? And then he could have literally walked through the fire, as they've established that his suit, he can literally wade through the lava on Mustafar while in his suit and not be affected.
I didn't take it that way. I just looked at him as he wanted to torture Obi-Wan and him to feel the same pain he did by being left in fire.
Okay, but I and then, he could have force crushed the droid. He could have just pulled Obi-Wan away from him. There's so many things they could have done there. And I was looking for them to have Vader have some explanation of why he just let him go. And then in part 4, there was nothing. They just completely gloss over it and move on, as if we didn't just watch that happen.
Well, again, maybe that's where you need more episodes. But we got to close this out because everybody's got to go. But I'll ask 2 questions, and then we'll end this. The cameos at the end, Qui-Gon Jinn and the Emperor. Did you like them, or do you have complaints about those?
No, I don't have any complaints about those. I figured Liam Neeson was going to be in there eventually. It made too much sense for them not to do it, both from a storytelling standpoint and from a popularity standpoint. Also, Liam Neeson was going way too hard on the about how he had not been. I mean, methinks the lady doth protest too much.
Right.
And then as far as the Emperor, like I wanted the Emperor at the beginning of the show. So the fact that he was at the end of the show doesn't bother me in the slightest. He's Vader's master. Of course we're going to see him.
Right.
So no, not bothered by either of those. Completely fine with that.
How about you?
Nothing, seeing Liam, great. Seeing Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor again, great. Nothing pleased me more at the end of that episode than to hear these words.
Hello there.
That's all I wanted.
Oh,
Hello there.
That's all I was waiting for.
You know what was funny? The first time I watched that episode, I was like, did they just use Alec Guinness's voice from episode 4? And then I watched it, was like, holy shit. McGregor nailed that.
Oh yeah. I was like, if they wrap this up and he doesn't say that, throw the whole baby away. Fuck it. I just like throw the whole show away.
Well, the other thing I wanted to say is kudos to giving Hayden Christensen something to do and not terrible dialogue. He really deserved that, and I thought he was great in the Vader suit and in the scene
when he was in it.
Well,
There was.
I know stunt doubles. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that everything they gave him within this series, I thought was great. Also, apparently, Lucasfilm needs to hire another YouTuber.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that yesterday.
And the funny thing too is that YouTuber who you saw that did the de-aging Hayden,
Right.
It was his first time ever using de-aging technology. He put that he's like, so if it comes off a little waxy or plasticky, I'm sorry, this is the first time I've ever used.
You're like, don't apologize.
Yeah,
No,
and like, but can you imagine if they had gotten the guy who did the Luke? Like, what was it? Was he just like, I guess he was busy doing Harrison Ford for Indiana Jones, because first they were going to have to de-age him for other reasons, and then he got injured, and then they had to de-age him or do face mapping for basically most of the movie. So, like, was he just busy on Indy 5 and he couldn't do this one scene?
Well, at this point, Lucasfilm just needs to hold a contest for if for YouTubers out there, if you know how to use this software, here's your test, and whoever has the best, we will hire you. Jesus.
So, there was one video game reference that nobody caught, apparently, except for me. And like everybody got the whole Vader grabbing the ship thing. That's Star Killer from The Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I saw was actually in the second Vader Kenobi fight, and it was when Kenobi uses all of the rocks and force showers rocks at Vader. That's force project from Star Wars: The Old Republic. That's the Jedi Sage.
Yeah.
And I really liked that one choice just because it kind of shows the evolution as Obi-Wan from a Jedi Guardian and, more of a lightsaber combat focused Jedi to a more introspective, more mature Jedi who focuses more on force powers.
Yeah.
When a Jedi goes gangster is what I was calling it.
Yeah, that was a great nod. Also, I'm grateful that they actually gave lines to Bonnie Passe as Beru, because if all you had her is in the background as a glorified extra, that's a disservice to her. And if there's anybody that deserves, kind of a redemption or a second act after the shit she went through,
No kidding.
come on. Yeah.
Well,
so
here's a funny
gun. I was like, damn, Bonnie, shit.
Here's a funny bit about that scene though. You know how when the trailer came out for this and it spawned all the Owen sick burn memes?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be enough, like we were enough against stormtroopers.
Oh, sometimes I just like the internet. Just enjoy the scene that
Dun, dun, dun.
great. And as I said, I'm glad that they gave her more to do in that last episode. And I hope from any of the actresses that were involved with Nexum and got out, I really hope that they get a great second act and are able to go on and get past all that nonsense. So, but anyway, kudos to her. Kudos to them for bringing her back and stuff like that. And I think she is actually doing more movies here. I looked it up on IMDb, and I think she's got a few projects in the works. All right, final question, and then we're going to close this out. You guys already know my score. I gave it an 8, but I'm curious, Brendan, how did you rate it?
Right down the middle, decidedly mediocre, 5.
Okay, and Chad?
I'll give it a 6.
Okay. Well, here's to hoping that Andor and Ahsoka in season 3 of The Mandalorian are better. I have no doubt that they'll be good, but it's still Star Wars. It's never going to be as good as the original trilogy or anything from our childhood. That's how I personally look at it. I enjoy it for what it is. So now we are going to close it out, and I'll just tell Brendan so he doesn't have to read this part. There's some really great mirrors and to The Last Jedi, and that's something that I'm writing about, which I thought was cool. So I'm just giving you a heads up so you can skip that part and not be angry. That's my gift to you. All right. We'll be back in July. We are taking 4th of July weekend off, and we'll let you know what our schedule is and what's going on. Obviously, we're going to have to do a big Stranger Things show once the final 2 episodes are out. As for movies, Lightyear is also still out. But what I do find interesting is they're already projecting that Top Gun Maverick will still be number 1 box office.
Yep.
Past Elvis and Lightyear and everything else. And it should be, because it is a great movie.
And yeah, you asked me last week what I've seen twice, and I haven't gone to see a movie twice in a long, long time, but I think I might go see Maverick a second time just because it's earned it.
Seen it 3 now.
And well, Chad Marcus was asking me what was the last one I'd seen twice, and honestly, it might be one of the Lord of the Rings. It might be Fellowship of the Ring. It's been that long since I've gone to a movie twice in the theaters. But I am very much looking forward to the next 2 weeks because in addition to Top Gun Maverick still in the theaters, we also get Minions: Rise of Gru. And I love, like, if you don't like the Minions, do you have a soul? And
I just want that foosball game in the freaking lobby.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And then the other one, of course, in 2 weeks after our next episode will be Thor: Love and Thunder, which should be interesting. So,
and we will let you know our thoughts on that because we should be back that weekend. So until then, stay nerdy. And if you were disappointed by Obi-Wan, sorry, and hopefully we'll get better things. But again, one thing that we can agree on: enough is enough. It's time to move on. Knights of the Old Republic, let's go back, or the High Republic.
You've got 25,000 years worth of Republic history you can play with.
Yeah.
Find something.
I mean, but if you really want to stick with the Skywalker saga, and we can de-age everything at this point, let's just go ahead and make Heir to the Empire. Let's just make that trilogy and be done with it.
Well, I think they eventually are after a fashion, because they said they said the Mandoverse is going to end in a cinematic event, in a crossover cinematic event, and I'm pretty sure that Thrawn's going to be the big bad. So,
and I'm okay with that, because
Yep.
for 30 years, I was talking with my cousin yesterday, because we gobbled up everything, with Star Wars when they released those books when we were kids. It still holds up, and it's still some of the best Star Wars writing that's out there. And Lucasfilm can take, some notes from that. All right. Sorry, one last thing, and I swear to God, we're going. A documentary that everybody should look out for. It's doing the film festival circuit right now. We had a chance to watch it on Friday evening at the Oak Cliff Film Festival. Butterflies in the Sky, the story of Reading Rainbow. And if you didn't grow up watching Reading Rainbow, I feel sorry for you. And this is why we need money for public broadcasting, because we had great childhoods with LeVar Burton and Reading Rainbow, and it just brought back so many memories. Also makes me love LeVar Burton, more, because he did that and Star Trek.
Well, if Won't You Be My Neighbor and I Am Big Bird didn't convince you, I don't think anything will. So you're just dead.
Right. I have no soul at that point. So, but it's a good one to check out. As I said, it's Reading Rainbow. And God forbid we should encourage kids to read and not ban books. Just saying. All right, everybody. We got to say goodbye. So have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.